We actually have a Cosmo pile for you today with rocket good stuff. We have some innovations in the Zoodiac department, and of course, we have more Nouvelles and some other good stuff for you as well. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Yes, this is a Rocket Cosmo deck out of the OCG, and they are actually playing Xeno in here as well. So this actually kind of opens up the door for more additional, destruction / extension effects. And you're just going to be throwing Cosmo floaters at your opponent all day. While, the Rocket package also gives you additional destruction / climbing up options into something like Boral. And when I saw this week out of the OCG, I was like, what in the world is actually happening here? We're trying some pretty innovative stuff, and it looks like it is working out. So we have one Absorrouter, triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring. We have one Collapse Serpent with your triple copies of Dark Destroyer. We have two copies of the Dogfighter with your one copy Sword Troopers, triple copies of the Strongman, two copies of Dark Lady, triple copies of Maximus Draw a lot of cards. We have two Rocket Caliber with your one Rocket Recharger, triple copies of the Rocket Tracer, one Wyvern Buster with your two Xeno Meteorus, one Boot Sector, two Called by the Grave with your triple copies of Chaos Base. We have the one Croissant Designator, one Dragon Ravine, triple copies of Ground Xeno, triple copies of Cosmo Town with your triple Quick Launch. We have one Terraforming with one Talents, and triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. And then we have two Striker Dragon, must be nice, one SP Little Knight, one Heavenly Seers, one Pisty, one Romulus, one Deligerous with the one Dahark. We also have one Borland, one Visus, and then we also have one Chaos Ruler, one Chaos Angel, Borreload Savage Friend, the Baron, and one Ancient Pixie Dragon. Then we have two Lancia, one Durosworm with one Magnanet, two copies of Space Rock, one Cosmic Cyclone, two Dark Ruler, one Arpy's Feather Duster with one Lightning Storm, two Evenly Matched, and two copies of Solemn Steerike here, wrapping up, I think, one of the coolest little innovative piles out of today. Next up here, we had Zoodiac actually sporting off Armored Xyz and Armored Xyz Full here, which means you can take advantage of full armor and the full armored Dark Lancer here as some generic options to exceed someone during the opponent's turn for some additional forms of interruption. And yes, we're also playing Pharaonic Sarcophagus in here as well. This is going to give you access to the Horus package in here as well, which means that you can put huge bodies on the field and pressure OTK your opponent a lot faster. This is such an interesting method of things, kind of bringing together the consistent board-breaking abilities of Zoodiac with very large monsters to ensure that you can actually clear out the game. Because all you need is one Zoo monster, and you're effectively off to the races. So we have the triple Ash here. We have one copy of the Blessings of Horus, triple copies of Valor, two copies of Ghost Bell with one Ghost Ogi. We also have one copy of Hoppy with your triple copies of Imseti. We have triple copies of the Magician Souls. Interesting take here because we can drop Imseti here, which is actually hilarious. And then we have triple copies of Maxine. Then we have one Ram, one Rat Pier with your triple copies of Throwblade. We have one Whiptail with one Armored Xyz, triple Tenki, triple copies of the Pharaonic Sarcophagus, two Desires, one Barrage, one Full Armored Xyz, and triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Then we have two copies of SP Little Knight, two copies of Tiger Mortar with one Hammerbong, two copies of Chakanine, two copies of the Borbo. We have one Xyz Full Armored with one Doomsday Star. We have one Galaxy Lord, one Full Armored Dark Lancer, one Zeus, and one Dingrisu. Then we have one Baldric, one Durosworm, one Magna Hut with one Ghost Ogre. We have two Space Rocks, two copies of Cosmic Cyclone. We have one Feather Duster with two Lightning Storm, two Evenly Matched, one Red Reboot, and one copy of the Skill Drain here. Wrapping up another pile. Next up here, we have some Nouvelles. And I'll be honest with you, this deck is kind of hit or miss in a lot of the things that it ends up doing. But the Pendulum Monster here makes this deck so much more interesting. This adds such a cool dynamic to the deck, especially when you can start handing your opponent the Pastiels down here, and you can start setting up the multiple lines of play that this deck I didn't even know that it actually wanted to be able to have and have access to. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We also have one copy of the Cyber Petite Angel. We also have triple copies of Diviner of the Heralds, triple copies of Max C with one copy of the Battle Grail, two copies of the Balamornier, two copies of the Level 1, two copies of the Confurious, two copies of Ben 10, one copy of the Foy Glacia, and then one Hungry Bagar. And then we have one copy of the Poultice, and then we have triple copies of the Pulsineer. And then we have two called by, two copies of the Contest, two copies of the At Table, one pre-prep, two preparations, and then we have two fish recipe, one meat recipe, two copies of the menu, and one copy of special recipe here. And then we have two copies of the Corvature, here, one Almirage, one copy of the Sacred Flame, one Lingariba, one Nightmare Unicorn, one IP, the one Dynamondo, one Access Code, two Herald, one Baron, one Excel, and two copies of Ints here. Wrap up your list. I do like how this deck is taking advantage of a lot of the 2-ofs here. While they are incredibly good cards that do help out the deck a lot, actually reducing these ratios, I don't know, maybe this is an actual good considerable way to want to try things out, because most people are like, well, you want to push these to 3, but I don't know, this did work out for its event, so maybe it's something worth considering. Next up here, Teller Knights. Oh man, I cannot tell you the last time that I had seen this deck actually performing. We're playing a Watt Kinetic Puppeteer here as well. This is kind of cool for a movement effect for sure. See, we're also side decking Grand Horn of Heaven down here. I feel like I'm in a time machine for just the formers of what we expected to see for a deck like this. So we have two copies of Codicus, two copies of Sheridan with your triple copies of Effect Filler. We also have two copies of Altair, triple Deneb with one copy of Sirius. We have two Anukulhai, two Vega with the one copy of Altarian. And then we have triple copies of Lyran. And then we have triple copies of the Constellar, one Twinkle with the one Feather Duster, one Rhoda, two Skybridge with the two Anti-Scams, two Called By, the one Compulse, the one Fiendish, the one Judgment, the two Strike, and the two Alpha. Then we have one Isolde, the one Gravity Controller, one Ptolemaeus, two Codicus with the one Trevair, one Deltros with the one Diamond, one Rongarminiad, one Exton, one Zeus, one Ptolemaeus, two M7, and one copy of Polides. Then we have one Crow, one Alshalam, one Puppeteer, one Cyclone, one Dark Hole, the one Arrest, two MST, the one Genesis, the one DDR, the one Gozen, the one Grand Horn, the one Heavy Storm Duster, the one Rivalry, and the one Transmigration Prophecy here, wrapping up this list. Interesting takes. And then we have, hi, this is some Snake Eye action down here with Diabellstar. I actually can't wait for this deck to get its next wave of support so we can actually see this deck undergo a very interesting evolution. So we have triple Ash Blossom with the one Crow, triple copies of Diabellstar with the one Ghost Ogie. We also have the one Jet Synchron, one Kurikara with the triple Maxi. Also have the one Nibiru, triple copies of Excel, two Oark, two copies of Birch with the two copies of the Flambird Dragon. We also have triple Hunter Fiend, two Called By, the triple Chicken Game, one Pot of Prosperity, triple Snake Eyes of the Sinful Spoils. Then we have triple copies of the Snake Eyes Shrine, two Ripple copies of Imperm, and one copy of Silva. Then we have one Underworld Goddess, one Celine, with the triple Little Knight, one Anima, one copy Lingariba, one IP, one Hark, one Apple, one Access Code, one Doomsday Star, one Formula, and one Baron de Fleur here, wrapping up our Snake Eye good stuff. And our last list here is this week's take on Centurion. I've loved seeing how much this deck has set at the dinner table here as an evolving threat, and especially, we get access to Lulu Wallace, Bishy, Bulkins, Calamities. How much good stuff can you actually fit into a deck and make it work? Well, that's your answer. So we have triple Ash, one Worm with one Emmet. We have triple copies of Primthera, triple Trudea with triple Ecclesia. We also have one Fleur-de-Lis, one Valor, one Opier Squadron with triple Maxi, one Nibiru, one Gamma, one Driver, two Called By, one Crossout, triple Oath. We also have one Faith, triple Servant, triple Stand-Up, triple Punishment, and one Skill Drain. Then we have one Almirage, one SP, one Artemis, one Omega with one King Calamity, one Draco Berserker, two Lulu, one Rotator, one Chaos Angel, two Legatia, one Baron, one copy of the Grand Gogonal, and one Ints. Then we have 1 Alpha, 1 Baldric, 1 Magna Hut, 1 Veiler, 1 Phantasme, 2 good cards, 2 more good cards, 1 Space Rock, 2 Cosmic, 1 Feather Duster, and 1 Imperm here, wrapping up the power of the OCG mess. What do you think about these interesting goodies? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.